Hey, welcome back to Stace on Wheels. If you're still with me, because there's been hardly any progress at all on the 308 or the one-tonner this year. Well, apart from the 308's cam debacle, which I'm hoping is behind us now, but I have just been making progress on little things behind the scenes, I guess, in a way. So this video is a bit of an update, really. So yeah, with the cam, I still am unsure where those extra 5 degrees of advance came from. We put the balancer on the crank, and just to check if the timing marks lined up when the piston was actually at top dead center, and it did. So I don't think the balancer is out, or well, the balancer's not, it's new. I don't think the crank keyway is out. So it's still a mystery really why the cam timing has an extra 5 degrees. I took the crank gear and advanced it by 4 degrees, did the timing again, and it's kind of where it is supposed to be. So I'm happy with that, and I'll just leave it there. So that's done, which means next step is to check the piston valve clearance. And this is more a theoretical exercise than anything, because this is not a high lift cam. It's under 500 thou of lift. So yeah, because this engine, for me at least, is mostly about learning stuff, we're kind of doing every step. So there was a bit of a journey with setting up the valve train, I guess, to be working properly before bothering to do the piston valve clearance. So the push rods that came with my cam kit are actually a little bit longer than the push rods that were in it. And a lot of the rockers that originally came with the engine have already got a shim in them. Let me show you. So you can see just there is a shim already, and it seems to be pressed into this part of the trunnion. I can't flick them out with my fingernail, and I'm not prepared to get a screwdriver in there to gouge them out. Those shims right across all of the rockers are approximately 51 to 53 thou thick. I think one of them was 48 thou, but the rockers that I had originally on cylinder 1 don't have any of those. So there was an extra washer, just a standard washer on top of the rocker post for cylinder 1's rocker pair. But with these longer push rods, it's meant that I actually need an extra shim on every single rocker pair. And I Yellow Terra sell them, so I'll see if I can get some. And when it's set up, again, I've just got standard washers there just for a dummy and to do the piston valve clearance. But when it's set up with the extra little washer there, the one that I showed you that's on the trunnion, that is the setup that gives me enough lash. Because without this little washer here, just tightening the rockers down takes all of the lash out of the push rods, but also adds extra preload without even, with these adjusters backed all the way off. So yeah, just putting that shim in has solved all of that problem. We've just checked rocker geometry, so the rocker is moving, the roller is moving really nicely across the inner third of the top of the valve stem through the full range of motion, and the push rod looks like it's clearing the back of the rocker really well and still staying nicely seated in the cup up under there. The lifters, just in case you're interested, that I've put in here are the old lifters, because they are locked up and acting kind of like a solid lifter. So there we go. I really think right now that's good, and good enough to at least do the piston valve clearance test now. So as expected, yeah, loads of clearance between the piston and the valves. This side here was, I think, 192 thou at that lowest point just there. And then on the exhaust side, the lowest point there, 236 thou. So yeah, loads and loads of clearance, which is what we expected because it is not a high lift cam. So now I'm kind of left with this question of, can I use those 2 shims with every rocker? Which is essentially adding 100 thou of height to the rocker. And It does compensate well for the new push rod length, but it also means there's less threads going from the rocker bolt down into the head. I don't know where to find a straight answer about that and what I should be doing about it. And the other thing is, given that it looked like the rocker geometry was just spot on with those shims in there and the longer push rods, if I go to shorter push rods and take the shims out, the valves are still the same length. So is that rocker geometry going to be out? So it means more checking, more testing, more measuring, and at this point in time, I'm feeling a little bit over it. I'll get myself together though and get back to it. But also in the background, I had a bit of a fun afternoon with my dad on his lathe, and he just happened to have like a bar of steel that was just the right size to machine down to use for what I hope will become our rope rear main seal insertion tool. We'll see how that goes, but it was just a lot of fun making that with my dad. So yeah, it's progress is feeling a little bit slow. It's a tiny bit frustrating, but it's just part of the game, I guess, when you're working with a 50-year-old engine and trying to bring it into the 21st century. And when you have really cool things like this to distract you. Well, despite the long delays between each of the videos about the 308 or the 1-tonner, if you're still with me, thank you, and hopefully I'll see you again in the not too distant future with another video update about the progress of the 308 or the 1-tonner.